How do you get interior design clients without a portfolio? Let's bust the myth straight away because crazy, we're still being taught at design school that the main thing you need to get clients or to get a job is a portfolio. And this is one of the biggest myths in our industry because you do need to show something, but how you show it and what it is that you show doesn't have to be a portfolio. And in fact, a lot of the time that someone presents a portfolio, it's usually the wrong thing to that person. So let's explore this idea in today's video. So I think the first thing you need to know, and at least plant the seed in your head, is that you don't need a portfolio to get clients. I am the most simple example of that. I've been in the industry now for over 20 years and I still don't show my portfolio on my website or on the internet. So just to be clear, I have had and still get hundreds and hundreds of clients. And this is because, and it doesn't matter whether I have a portfolio visible or not. And that's not to say that I don't have projects to show, but how I show them is the way I get clients. So for those of you who are starting out in the industry, and this works for me because I work with a lot of people who are starting out in the industry, and I can prove to them that you can get clients, you can create success without starting out with a portfolio. And this is something that a lot of designers think that is really impossible, but it's not impossible. If you look out at a lot of designers who are working today, you might actually be criticizing their portfolios thinking, well, they're not very good. Or you might think that, the perfect example is an experienced designer, a very experienced designer without any portfolio. And that was me and that's how I started, because I had been working for architects and interior design offices for 15 years before I started my own business. And I couldn't show that work on my website when I started working with clients. It wasn't possible. That information didn't belong to me. That belonged to the companies that I worked for. And so that didn't mean I wasn't a great designer capable of undertaking those projects that I was pitching for, but it did mean that I wasn't able to show that work. And so therefore I had no portfolio to show, or no visible portfolio. So the thing is, you don't have to have an interior design portfolio to get clients, but you do need to do other things. So it just doesn't mean that you don't do anything, but you still need to do it. Obviously, once you're established and you do have a great portfolio, then that becomes easier. It's a much easier way to get clients, yes, because it's the obvious thing that everyone looks for, but it's not the only way. And I think that is key. So just because you don't have a portfolio doesn't mean you're doomed. Also, I think a lot of people who have come through the Instagram fame route and become like Shay McGee, Athena Calderon, so those people who became famous from Instagram, they were doing their own projects, like on their own home, and that's what started to get the ball rolling. So it was those examples of snippets and presenting those snippets, and even what's her name? Sophie Patterson. I think Instagram was how she presented her information as well, which just goes to show, if you even have just small vignettes or something to start with, that can grow. I mean, this just because, and I've actually seen so many interior designers succeed with just an Instagram portfolio. So don't think it needs to be whole rooms. It doesn't need to be completed spaces. It just needs to show your ideas and your abilities. And I think that is key. So you don't have to have a portfolio to get clients, but you do need to do something. So what are these things that you need to do? Well, you still need to market yourself and get out there and tell people that you're interested in doing interior design. So whether that's even creating a basic website or telling people that you're open to work. So just get out there and tell people. And repeatedly, telling them once isn't enough. So you need to tell people that you're open for work. You need to ask your friends and family to ask them if they know of anyone that might be requiring interior design services. get them to think about it, get them to promote you as well and say, well, look, my sister, my cousin, my friend is just starting out in this career or is an experienced designer, but she's started out on her own. She's ready for work. She's really great. And they will say things about you that you wouldn't say about yourself. So they're actually really great people to get you your first job. Also, when you think about it, I mean, I'm willing to bet closer to 100% of people who started out in interior design got their first job through someone that they already knew or through someone that knew someone that they knew. So I believe that a cold call wasn't the way that somebody started their interior design career for that first project. So speak to your friends, speak to your family, get those connections that you already have, and that first job is likely to come through someone you know. Next is you need to network with people who already work with the clients that you're going to get, or work with the people who you want to get a job with. So what does that mean? Well, if you want to work on commercial interiors, you might be networking with people who start businesses. If you're wanting to work on show homes, well, working with the developers or networking with developers who create show homes, it might be one of those places to network with. These are, really simple examples, but it just gets you thinking about, well, hang on a second, am I doing that? Is that, if they're the people I want to get in front of, what am I doing to get in front of them? Next, you need to speak to someone new every day. And don't underestimate this, because if you're not taking action, it might feel like you're doing a lot, but you aren't. So don't trick yourself into believing you're speaking to a lot of people when you're just scrolling on Instagram or Facebook. So what you might actually be doing is just wasting your time. So get out there, actively tell people what it is that you're doing, and get them to speak to you about it. So that is really the key. And lastly, use your passion and energy to spread the word. What I mean by this is your enthusiasm for getting a project might be the thing that gets you the project. And I used this to my advantage, because I was so passionate about working in an interior design and architecture. Like, so much so that my energy was contagious about the project. And no matter what, that client knew that I was going to put my all of that energy into making that project a success, even without much proof that I could do that project. So one of the biggest pushbacks I get when people say, well, okay, it's okay for you, you had a lot of experience by the time you were starting your business, even if you had nothing to show for it. And the biggest pushback I get is, well, it's not going to work for me. Well, just know this. You don't need a website. You don't need a portfolio. You don't need any proof to get a client. You just need to be putting yourself out there. And I've proven this hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. And until I think, that's why I think, being part of a mentorship like ours, where you see experienced designers and brand new designers struggling with similar issues, but then overcoming those issues. You get so inspired when you see someone, if you're an experienced designer, and you see someone who is fresh, absolutely no experience in interior design, getting clients like this, just because they're putting themselves out there. And then the opposite way around, when you're a brand new interior designer, and then you see someone who's struggling, they have such great potential. And then you think, well, why aren't they getting clients? What are they doing wrong? And then we can analyze that together and help this person. So then that inspires you to think, well, okay, if an experienced designer is struggling with this, that means that there's an opportunity here that I can see, and I can help them, or they can help me. So I think the biggest thing here is imposter syndrome. We have to say it, because one of the biggest pushbacks we get is that it's not going to work for me because I just don't have the confidence to put myself out there. You don't need confidence to put yourself out there. You just need to believe in the passion that you have for what it is that you're doing. And the way that you present yourself is key. And for me, I was really, really shy. I was painfully shy. But I had so much enthusiasm and passion for interior design and architecture that got me jobs. So if it is just your enthusiasm, you can get jobs on enthusiasm. So know that if that's all you have, then use it. Use the one thing. And I promise you, if you try, you will get there. So the only people who don't succeed are the ones that don't try. It's the ones who give up. Lastly, you need to have something to show. So you don't necessarily have to have a portfolio, but you still need to show something. So for example, I couldn't show the proof of all of the hundreds of projects that I was working on or had worked on in my career as a designer. But once I spoke to somebody, I could get their details and email them or show them in a meeting a portfolio that I would have potentially shown to an employer. So I could show the work that I had worked on and then obviously be clear about the parts that I was involved in, because obviously when you're working as part of a team in an office, you're not the only person that is running that project. So you have to be clear about what you're involved in and what kind of projects you were involved in and what you were doing. So that was the way that I got really big projects with no portfolio. I would prove that I was capable of these projects, even though I had to get past that first hurdle of not being contacted without any visible signs of a portfolio or experience. But once I got once I got speaking with my clients, then it was easier to get the client or to have them hire me, because I can show and prove once I was already talking to them. So that is really key, is to get talking to the people, because that is when you can sell yourself, your personality, you can sell your excitement for the project. And that is usually how someone will say, you know what, it's a risk, it's a bit of a gamble on my part, but I'm going to give you the opportunity because I like you, or because I can see that you're going to do a good job with this. And I won projects over really great, really nice, big, famous designers, because I was going to put these clients' projects first, and they could see that for the big office, that was going to be a small project for them. But for me, I was going to nurture that project and give them the best possible outcome that they could have achieved. And I got the job. So even without a portfolio, even without any proof. So it's about you selling yourself. And remember that it's not just about the evidence, and it's not just about being a good designer, because in all honesty, when I started, I don't think I was a very good designer at all. I had won awards for my design ideas, but in terms of, I suppose, proof of my design, I don't think at the time it was, that great, because, I was also just starting out. So, which also goes on to the point that your portfolio, even if you have one, might not be a good idea to show. So it might actually be turning off clients if you are showing it. So sometimes holding back and being very selective, or most of the time holding back and being selective about what it is that you are presenting to the world is important, because it might be turning people away. So that all kind of comes together into a marketing strategy, a marketing plan. How do you get clients without an interior design portfolio? Well, you need to have a strategy for still selling yourself and still getting those clients, but it doesn't have to include the portfolio. If you want to read more about this topic, we have a blog post about this with downloadables and some ideas on the website. It's called How to Get Interior Design Clients Without a Portfolio. And I'll post some extra resources below this video for you if you do want to see examples of portfolios at different stages of your career. So when you're straight out of university, when you're growing your career, and then if you're working with clients as well. So I'm Jo Krobach. I'm an architect and interior designer, and the CEO of the Interior Designers Business School here in London.